Well, hello and welcome to this Long Island weather video. God, what a lousy, absolutely awful weekend it has been. And I thought we'd have some dry time today, and we did. And then the sucky drizzle returned by the evening. And this is what I had to deal with coming home. Again, you can see just from drizzle, look at all the puddles that are going on in Mineola. You can see this is all just from drizzle. And this is all just flooded out. I mean, it's all just, you gotta watch where you walk. If you're wearing, if you're not wearing shoes, a lot of shoes have holes in them, so if you're not careful where you're walking, you're gonna get your shoe all wet walking through this. Because again, there's no drainage. You don't see any drainage here. This was all part of the Mineola Station project, and there's no drainage. None at all. And this is down in Mineola Boulevard. You can see, watch. This is all just from the light rainy drizzle. And look at all the flooding that we have already from this. Another sidewalk here, flooded. Again, no drainage here. No drainage. No drainage. All right. And this was taken another day here in Mineola. You can see this kind of. This was from. This was last week, and you can see again. Look, the water isn't even going into the drains because the water. It's not sloped. It's not sloped to go into the drains. It's not. It's just sitting there. There's no sloping. Now, I want to compare this to a video I took in Rockville Center after a torrential downpour. And you can see how much better the drainage looks like. So here we are in Rockville Center, and you'll see we just had a downpour. And you can see the water is flowing very nicely into the drains here. We're by the train station. It's draining out pretty quick. See how they slope? See how that's sloped nicely downward there? It may be old, but notice how it's all sloped down, so the water goes down to the drain. We don't have that. There's no sloping in Mineola. So everything was done very shoddily, and that's what you get. You get this. So this is why I hate this kind of weather. If you live in a town where there's good drainage, great. But rainy days for me, I don't like going out. I wasn't even out yesterday at all because it was just the rain. It didn't end until the evening, and honestly. So anyway, you can see what we got here. Stalled front, still the same old story that we dealt with that we were talking about Friday night. Here's your stalled front, another wave of low pressure along it. High pressure trying to build in from the north, but again, with no jet stream, we're not really able to facilitate much movement of this front. And you can see how it's just been and it's cool, very cool. Not a big variation with temperature. Temperatures generally from the low 60s. Interesting, it's 64 at Islip, but 59 at Farmingdale. Very interesting. Overcast conditions. So I guess maybe it's not raining. They're not dealing with the sucky drizzle over there. 64. It doesn't look like they're dealing with any sucky drizzle in Suffolk County right now. But you can see what the day was like. Cloudy for the most part. Various cloud decks. Temperatures only in the 60s. Didn't even make it to 70. Easterly winds. And there were some times there was some light rain there in the early afternoon. And then yesterday we dealt with light rain and drizzle for much of the day. It didn't really end until 5 to 6 o'clock in the evening. So it was a really lousy weekend. But you may wonder how much rainfall do we have to show for it. Not a whole lot. I'll go to the 48-hour rainfall, and you can see. All right, some areas did get a little more here, 0.79, I guess. There were some heavier amounts here, some of those showers. This is the whole weekend here. So there was, I guess, Central Park only got 0.27. Some areas got more than others. But out in Suffolk County, not really as much as you head further out east, a half an inch. And then in southern Jersey, you can see where the heavier rain was. Central Jersey, southern Jersey, maybe a half an inch. This is the 2 days, 48 hours. But we'll go to the 24 hours and you see, yeah, this is all we got today. Very little. It's just a sucky light rain and drizzle crap that we're dealing with here. That's what we're dealt with today. Yesterday we had some more actual rain, but today it's been mostly drizzle, and that's what we're dealing with, unfortunately. And it really sucks. It really, really does. So this is what we got going on. Meanwhile, if you want summer, we'll just entertain the thought for a minute. We're going to take you to Anchorage, Alaska, or not Anchorage, Fairbanks. I think it's Fairbanks, Alaska. It's 85 there. Yeah, this is how upside down the weather's been. they've actually had heat advisories. First ever heat advisory issued out of Fairbanks. So 85 to 89. So yeah, that's how upside down the weather is. So if you want summer, go to Alaska. Yeah, it's a low dew point there too. What's the dew point? 40. Yeah. If you want summer, you can. That's what you can get. You can see their temperatures were. They might have been dealing with a little bit of smoke there, perhaps, at times. There were a few times where there was rain, but yeah, that's where summer is. You go to Alaska. This is all part of climate change. All that we're doing, this is highly abnormal. I don't ever remember June being like this. People will always say, oh, it just makes it hotter by default. No, it's screwing up the jet stream, which is causing all these. Normally, we wouldn't have a stall front. It would pass through. Either have a warm front pass through or a cold front. It wouldn't just sit here for days on end. This is highly abnormal, very alarming, very disturbing kind of pattern. It's good for no one. It's bad for business. It's bad for all the businesses at the beach. It's bad for businesses that require, downtowns. They're suffering. This is terrible for the economy. People should care about it, but, judging by all the huge pickups on the road, and I don't think that's people care that much. But you can see what we got. Stall front. A little bit of smoke off to the north. And we'll go to the CONUS view here. You can see plenty of clouds in the east. Southwest is nice and clear. Everything east of the Rockies. There's some thunderstorms over there. Looks like there's severe weather in the Midwest or the west, the lee of the Rockies. We're not focused on that. This is a Long Island weather video, but we're just showing you what's happening, what's going to affect the weather is going to affect us. And you can see, looks like there's a lot of smoke going on. What is that? So, we may be dealing with more smoke again, too, by the way. I see some clouds of smoke here. But without the airflow coming from Canada, it's not, smoke isn't as thick as, but the smoke was noticeable today. I noticed it. I smelled it. Definitely a little bit of haze in the air as well at times today. We'll go over and look at our air quality right now. AQI. Let's see what we got. All right, we are in the green. But I thought I smelled some smoke out there. Saying we're in the green now. Let's see. I have a feeling not everybody's in the green. Let's see what we got here. No, there's some yellow. So, yeah, there's a little bit of smoke out there. Not as thick as it was on Friday, but definitely smoke. Still smoke around. Still dealing with that. So, deal with some impacts to the air quality. But, yeah, it's very interesting that how upside down the weather is. And, again, if you go to Alaska, it's hot there. You see there's... Actually, we have red flag warnings also in effect, so there could be some wildfires in Alaska at the rate things. Yeah, look at this. Is that 90 degrees I see? 90 degrees, Beaver, yeah. So if you're looking for your 90-degree heat, I suggest you head to Alaska. How backwards is that all of this? I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable. It really is. It's really unbelievable how backwards the weather has been. Hotter in Canada than it is here. I mean, or Alaska, I should say. But yeah, even in Canada, it's hotter in some areas too. So it's all backwards, messed up weather, and it's depressing as heck. I mean, we haven't seen the sun now for. We'll go to the MODIS satellite next. This kind of tells the story here. All right, this was today, and this was yesterday. So 2 days so far without sunshine, and it's gonna be even worse. So here's yesterday. You can see if you were up in northern New York, like Plattsburgh, you had sunshine. It was smoky, but you had sunshine at least. And yesterday too. I mean today too. Plattsburgh, even parts of Maine, you had sunshine because the high is over here. But this is where the stall front is right here. We're stuck in all of this crud right here. So that's what we're dealing with. You can see there's some smoke over there, and I have a feeling we're going to see some wildfires break out over Alaska. I know there was a wildfire in New Jersey that should be mostly contained by now. I'll talk about it in a post. If I find the latest, I'll put it in a post. But anyway, let's talk about what we have, because unfortunately, we're going to be, this week is going to be more of the same. You can see, originally I thought that high would build down a little more. We'd maybe have a chance of some sunshine tomorrow. Yeah, a chance of sunshine. But you can see keeping us tomorrow. Maybe we don't have any precipitation just off the southwest, but then Tuesday we could see more precipitation as that warm front starts making its way north again. So yeah, it's just continues. So let's go look at the models now. We'll go and look at the European first, and we're gonna actually go to the jet stream. All right, and you just get to see just how messed up things are. I'm gonna go a little wider here. Again, that jet stream is just, there's pieces of it, but it's way up in Canada. There's pieces of it, barely a jet stream, but you do notice a ridge building this week, and that is going to help bring in the warmth. There's a little normal-looking trough, and then we finally start seeing a shift in the pattern to more ridging in the east, and that's going to make for warmer weather as we head into the rest of this month, and more summer-like weather, and perhaps some pretty big heat that we're going to talk about as well. So, yeah, if we go to the... you'll see the transition. So there's the ridging that's going to start to take place the middle of this week. All right, a little front comes through Friday, but then we really build that ridge into the latter part, into the weekend and the next week. Things are going to start heating up in a big way. Again, I don't really look at the GFS. I can show it to you, but probably have similar agreements here on that ridge. There's that ridge. Pretty strong ridge there it's going to develop. So we're finally going to get out of this. We'll go from the gloom to the heat and the humidity. But at this point, I'll take the heat and the humidity over this crud any day. So let's go to the European. We'll look at the surface. And you'll see here that tomorrow we're still dealing with the easterly flow. I'm hoping we can keep it dry, but there may be some patchy, sucky drizzle around. And looking at the radar right now, you can see there's some light rain and perhaps drizzle. I mean, it should have ended, but it's still drizzling out there if you look at the radar now. So that's why I didn't show you the radar, because that drizzle doesn't show up on the radar. That's part of the reason I hate it. Tuesday, see again, it looks like precipitation off to the west. We could have some shower and thunderstorm threats as things start to heat up. Looks like mostly inland. And then we have to watch Thursday, because we do have this cold front coming Thursday. Could be a strong cold front. I do see a V in the isobars, so it could be some severe weather with that. And then for Friday, we are dealing with a little bit better conditions, but then that ridge starts to build, and we start dealing with that heat. I'll show you the temperature anomaly chart here, so you see how things are going to change. So we're going to start going warmer than normal Wednesday, Thursday, especially Thursday, and then we see a little bit of a cool down, but then as we get after we get to the later part, you can see that heat building, and then next week, a lot of heat there. Could be some pretty impressive heat as we get into next week, and it'll stay above normal. Once we get past this, those who want the heat, they're going to get it. Like I said, I'll take the heat over this. This is absolutely awful. I mean, it sucks. None of the weather is good to go to the Pine Barrens at all. About that, I don't know when I'm going to go for a nice hike in the Pine Barrens at this point. It's just, just want a sunny, dry day with good air quality. That's all I want. But hey, these are the times we're living in. The good old days of summer are over. The world will continue to get more chaotic. So when you do get that nice day, make the most of it, because they're very rare, few and far between now. So you see, looking at the HRRR for tomorrow, it does have some sucky drizzle in the morning. Then it looks like it's got some, perhaps it might be a break during the day, and then it might pop up in the evening. It may be just very patchy, sucky drizzle or light rain. Tuesday, similar deal. So it could be patchy. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be that way all the time, but you're going to have to just... because of that easterly flow and the stall front off to the southwest, we continue to get that set up. Dew points and wind flow showing you this here. So you see that easterly wind flow. It does seem like we see an increase in low-level moisture tomorrow, which has me a little concerned. HRRR has the dew points coming up, which could mean more drizzle for tomorrow. And then Tuesday, you'll see the humidity starting to increase. Today actually had the lowest humidity, I think, that we'll see, and then the humidity is going to start to wind up going up, unfortunately. But along with that, the temperatures will go up as well. This is all part of a warm front, which you can kind of see on this as well. So temperatures, because we're getting into a little bit of a warmer air mass tomorrow, we should get closer to 70. Maybe we'll hit 70, but I don't think we'll see much sunshine. And then Tuesday, look at Tuesday actually winds up being cooler, which means Tuesday could be quite drizzly and miserable. It's possible that a setup like this, that we may be dealing with a lot of drizzle on Tuesday. Yeah, it's going to suck. I may have to spend another day stuck indoors, which is really dry. At least today I was able to get outdoors for a little bit. We had some precious dry time. But let's go and look at total accumulated precip, and it probably won't be very much. Yeah, it's less than a quarter of an inch. And by the way, I'll go to the Iceland climate report. High of 65, low 58, obviously well below normal temperatures, 7 degrees below normal temperatures. Month to date, we've seen 1.22 inches of rain, but despite all the days we've had rain, it's always been that light rain, sucky drizzle, so we're still actually below normal by an inch for rainfall. Believe it or not, it's not like this rain is even beneficial. It accomplishes nothing except making us miserable at this point. So let's shift over to the NAM model. We have 51 hours of the 0Z NAM, and so we'll see how it visualizes tomorrow. And you can see it does have some drizzle. Looks like some drizzle perhaps in the late morning hours, and maybe by the afternoon it'll end. But there could be some sucky drizzle, patchy sucky drizzle around this kind of setup. It's just, let's see if the NAM shows that increase in dew points. And it does too. Not quite as dramatically as the HRRR, but it does show it. And that means more moisture in the air, which means perhaps more drizzle. We had a little bit of dry. Originally, this high was going to come down and push some of this down. If I go to the RGEM, I'll show you what was originally going to happen. So I'm going to go back a couple of runs here. We'll go to 18Z Saturday. All right, so if we looked at the 18Z Saturday run, you could see some dry air was originally going to try to get in later tomorrow. You can see that dry air, the clearing there. But if we go to the latest run now, that's not happening. So the high is just, again, if you're north and east, you'll be better off. Interior, but for us, we're going to be stuck in this mess. Here we are, it's Tuesday. We're going 4 days without seeing the sun. Perhaps Wednesday we'll finally get a peek of it. 5 days without seeing this. This is just unbelievably horrible. Worst June ever I can ever remember. It's just absolutely awful, and I just wish I could travel somewhere else. I cannot. You don't know how... and a lot of people are complaining about the weather. I'm not the only one. This weather is just absolutely horrible. So you can see here, again, you can see how it's got a little bit of drizzle around. There could be drizzle around. And then the HDRPS seems to be a little bit better Tuesday. But it's really hard to predict this drizzle. It's very, very hard to predict it. So once we get done with all this crud, we'll show you what we're going to be doing. Once we get done with it, you'll see how the things are going to change as we get toward the middle of the week here. So you'll see the winds shift over to the south on Wednesday. That's going to bring in that warm, humid air. And here's the thing. We're going to go from this to very humid conditions. I mean, dew points around 70 and maybe into the 70s on Thursday, which, again, for June is ridiculously abnormal. But, again, this is all part of climate change. If you want the summers that you used to get, my suggestion, move to Arizona, Flagstaff, Arizona, somewhere in the mountains there. That's the only where you're going to avoid this crud. This is the climate that we have on the East Coast now. So you can see this is the European year, and you can see Wednesday we start to warm up a little bit, but it's Thursday that we really start cranking the heat up. 90 or better inland. That southerly flow should keep things cooler on Long Island, probably 80s, but it's going to be very, very humid. And then as we get into Friday, it drops a little bit, but still you'll see that the dew points also drop a little bit, though. It's a weak cold front. Dew points really don't drop that much. The Euro was saying nope. So yeah, this is just awful. I'm ready to just. You might just not hear from me, and if you don't hear from me, it means I somehow found a way to go away for a while. I don't know. I'm at my wit's end with this weather. I really am. So here we are, European for Saturday. But it gets interesting as we get into next week because things really start heating up next week. I'll show you the dew points and the wind flow and the ridging that we will start seeing. Looks like it's trying to have a backdoor cold front on Saturday. Great. Another stalled backdoor cold front. Awesome. So with a setup like that, you know what that means. I'm not going to... But then here you get, and then the front comes back, and then here we are back into the humidity again. The heat that we're going to deal with is going to be accompanied by very high humidity as well. So you can see these dew points here, very high, but the temperatures will also be very high as well. This is looking at next week here, and we'll show you. It's going to be a heat wave as we get into not this following week, but next week, the last week of June, the last full week of June. And you can see 90s are a good bet here. Maybe even running, you can run at 100 inland. There's going to be some real serious heat, and it's going to be very humid, too. So you're going to have just awful weather, just awful. So between this drizzly, cloudy crud, we're going to go from this right into the heat and the humidity. I miss being outside. I can't take it anymore. I'm going absolutely crazy. So let's go and look at... Now that we looked at all that, we'll go to the Climate Prediction Center, and you'll see it will echo what we just saw. But it's having below normal precipitation, but you can see excellent chances of above normal heat in the east, below normal out west, like Flagstaff, which is where I might just go to. I'll find a way. I don't know how, but I can't take this anymore. 8 to 14 day is still considering still the same old pattern, pretty much. So it's going to go from this to the heat and the humidity. Yeah, this is just awful, man. So look at that. We'll look at some more models. But let's just do the smoke model. Even though you're not seeing the sun at all, there's some haze out there from the wildfire smoke. That's the other thing we're dealing with. So let's take a look at this. And you see it's thin. This is the vertically integrated smoke. You see the smoke kind of stays off to the north here. Doesn't really show much, but there could be some near-surface smoke. Again, I smelled it today. Showing very light near-surface smoke. That could continue to be an issue. Let's go to... Let's go to the Ventu sky. We'll look at the visibility, and that's another tool we can use to determine how much drizzle there's going to be around. So it doesn't even show the drizzle that we're dealing with right now. We're 16. So this is tomorrow, and you can see it does have some restrictions in visibility. This could be drizzle here. All right, so could be patchy drizzle around tomorrow. And then as we go into Tuesday, there could still be a chance of patchy drizzle. So that's one model we can look at, and then we can look at windy.com as well. Actually, before I exit to this, let me just look at the humidity here, because this also kind of is important. So 90%, the humidity is high. 90%, 90%, 100% at times. So that's a setup for drizzle when you have such high humidity. If you if you want to get rid of the humidity, yeah, this is where you go. Arizona or Colorado, anywhere out west. There's Flagstaff. The humidity's 10%. Take that at this point. Tuesday again, seeing high humidity at times to 100, so that could lead to patchy drizzle perhaps as well. So, yep. Let's lastly go to windy.com. And we'll go and look at the visibility on this. Definitely see some restrictions in the visibility here. Yeah, it's showing some all right. Here's some, right around the afternoon. It could be sucky drizzle around tomorrow. And then same thing for Tuesday. It's very possible. So, just 2 more days of this crud, and then we start getting into the heat. I can't even rule out there could still be drizzle on Wednesday, too, as the warm front moves through. So it just... Man, I can't take this anymore. Let's go and look at the weather in Flagstaff before I wrap things up. I'll tell you a couple again. If you can, find a way. Get out of here. Just go away for a couple of weeks, because this is what the weather is in Flagstaff right now. All right, it's a little hot. It's going to be in the 80s, but she goes up to 90 on Wednesday. But it drops into the upper 40s at night, so that's good. It does cool down as we get into the weekend. Flagstaff, there'll be highs in around 80 degrees, so next weekend will be good. And we can also pick another city. We can pick Colorado. Let's do Colorado Springs. It's a nice place. I do have a thunderstorm being reported. All right, it is going to be pretty hot there, 94. It's a dry heat, though. Dew point's low, at least. So we'll take that over the crud we're dealing with now. That's for sure. This is I'd take the heat if it's dry heat and sunshine and good air quality. This, when you look at our forecast here, I'll put it over the Pine Barrens here and we'll see. All right, it's just saying mostly cloudy. They're not even saying drizzle. So they're not even mentioning drizzle, the weather service, which is interesting. Because honestly, I think there could be drizzle. I think they're being overly optimistic. But if I put it over Nassau County, it'll be a little different. You'll see chance light rain, chance showers. So we're just going to have to keep an eye on it. That's all there is to it. But you can see light rain, fog, mist being reported at Farmingdale, Central Park. Light rain, fog, mist. This crud that we're dealing with. I absolutely hate it. And I'll have a rant about the weather, because I do my mid-month rant. We're coming up to the middle of the month soon. So that's all. Thank you for watching. And if you can, try to travel. Because this is not normal. This is not normal. This is very abnormal, very disturbing. But this is all part of climate change. This is not normal at all. This is why we need to do something about it. And it's not just, like I said, we've passed the point of curbing our emissions. We need to find a way to start cooling this planet down. All right? Even it means, you know what, if everybody painted their roofs white, that would cool things down. Maybe even paint the roads white. We got to reflect the sunlight. We got to cool this planet down. We've passed the point of if we stop. I mean, we do need to slow our emissions down, but even if we stop burning fossil fuels right now, and we stop our carbon emissions, we're in a cycle that is going to get out of control. We need to do a lot more. We got to cool the planet down. Ocean pumps. We got to cool the oceans down. That's the biggie. We got to cool this planet down. But again, when you look at this country, at least, don't count on anything from this country. That's for sure, because we're actually heading in the absolute wrong direction with the tyrant in charge. And I wish I could have gotten out for the No Kings protests yesterday, but the weather was awful. And I'm sure it did hurt the attendance, but I see pictures from other parts of the country which had big crowds, and that's good. We've got to take our country back from the stupid. So that's all I'm going to say. Good night.